Good evening, TikTok. How are y'all? I'm fantastic. There's no sun. Sorry, because I am out on my evening constitutional. You know what that means. Time for another prison story. So, where we left off last time, I had gotten access to a cell phone and had made the intrepid effort to get in touch with tragic boyfriend and was then able to communicate with him from prison to prison by essentially leveraging every lever that I could get my hands on. You know, a bitch has some levers, right? So where we left off was that I had gotten transferred in and then brought back, and I was back in a unit where I uh, had not been before. So it was a new unit, still all federal inmates, um, but an entirely new cast of characters, and sadly enough, none as generous as Mr. Bird, especially with use of their cell phones. And it's legit like the first time I almost got I got my ass beat in prison once, but was a uh but only once. Now I almost got my ass beat multiple times. So the stories for different days. So the first time I almost got my ass beat was by a guy named Tyrus. And Tyrus was maybe like 21, 22, and had just been sentenced to a 25-year bid. So, needless to say, Tyrus was very irritable. And the way that you watch TV in these units in Tangipahoa, as I told you, there's like a separation from the day room to the guard shack, and you can't control the TV. There's no remote control or anything. So the only way you can change the channel on the TV is to bang on the fucking window, the plexiglass window, and get the guard in the guard shack to change the channel. It makes a lot of fucking noise, right? So, like, imagine you're Tyrus and you're up in your cell and you're like on your cell phone. And you just got that 25-year bid like 2 days before. And here's this fucking joke ass motherfucker that you don't know downstairs banging on that fucking window. You don't know what the fuck he's banging for. You don't know if he's banging for the TV. You don't know if he's banging because he's like having a girl freak out or some shit and trying to pull the people in there. And like, you're just. So, I mean, dude marches out his cell. He was in the upstairs part, marches up to the top of the stairs and says, just like essentially, bro, you better fucking lay off that shit. You hit that fucking glass one more time, and I'm gonna put your fucking head through it. Dude was like 6 inches shorter than me. And I believed him. Still do. Because look, I got old man strength and I got determination now. I didn't have that shit then. But I know now what that shit can do, what it can mean when you ain't got fucking nothing left to lose. Y'all don't want to fuck with that dude. You really don't. And you definitely don't want to fuck around with the dude who thinks he's got nothing left to lose, but isn't certain. Because then he's got shit to protect and a score to settle. So don't do that shit. So, I saw that and I backed the fuck off. I didn't watch TV no more after that. Just went back to my cube and read and read and read. Reread Harry Potter 4 or 5 times. And I dreamed. I listened to, so I got a new radio because my sister put some money on my books. Thanks, y'all. And I got some more goodies, and my mom sent me some more books. Woman's a saint. Sometimes. You're going to see in a couple episodes. I mean, if that woman had a fucking cape, Superman all day long. So I'm in my cell, and this new unit has a problem, like a real problem. and it's not violence. It's fucking roaches. They're everywhere. And like I said before, it's the same dynamics. You get shut into that room at 10 o'clock at night and you can't come out till 5 o'clock in the next morning. There's nowhere to go. And it's like a 10-foot by 6-foot cell. And the the way it's laid out at the end is where the beds are laterally to the entire cell with a toilet right next to it. And then like a little narrow, maybe 2-foot long walkway to the door. And there's a little table bolted to the wall next to the toilet. It's not a lot of room, but the beds are flush against the exterior wall that faces into the yard. And there's like a little narrow window, like this wide, but about like 4 feet long. So you can sort of see out into the yard, maybe see a star and the moon every once in a while, which provides just enough light that at night you can see the roaches crawling on the walls before you feel them crawling all over you. And I don't know if y'all have experienced what it's like to sleep and wake up with roaches crawling on your face. Fuck my life. And then it's even worse because that jail don't give a fuck. They still probably don't give a fuck. They serve food through a little hole in the wall, and half the time roaches are in the food. You tell them, they be like, "Don't eat the roaches." Mm-mm, mm-mm. See, and again, it's what I was talking about before, that it's perfectly okay for them to exercise your right. I mean, your responsibility to have consequences for your actions. But the fact that you committed a crime does not relieve everyone else from having consequences for their actions. But hey, that's the system that you all vote for. That's the system that you all keep in place. And you need to stop. So stop. Stop glorifying it. Stop justifying it. Stop voting for it. Stop clutching your pearls when somebody walks behind you at an ATM thinking, hey, that guy's going to steal from me. Nobody wants your Kia Rio, Karen. And if they do want it, you know, maybe then you ought to stop and ask yourself what kind of society creates people that feel like they have to steal from other people. When CEOs make 400 times the average pay of the rank and file employees, and you wonder? Anyway, prison guards at Tangipahoa don't give a fuck about anything other than getting the fuck out of there and not having to fucking deal with your ass or do paperwork. So, got all these roaches crawling on me. But on the bright side, I had a cell to myself for like 2 weeks. It was nice, despite the roaches. I mean, hey, you get the good shit where you get the good shit, right? Didn't stay good shit for long. So I got a cellie. There was an old white man, and he was there for maybe 6 days. I don't know what happened to him. I just went to take a nap one afternoon, and they did count, uh, which they didn't normally do, like go to your bed and do count the way that federal institutions do at 4 p.m. But they did a count that day, and everybody had to go to their cell, and he didn't come back into the cell. And I'm guessing maybe he was like at medical and he died or something. I don't fucking know. But the officers came in and packed out his shit. Not that he had much shit to begin with. He is a crazy old white man too. He was from Maringouin, which is this little town in Louisiana, and he used to say shit like, "I loves me the butcher boy in Maringouin. They got the best man at the butcher boy in Maringouin." Of all the details that he could remember from his outside life, the thing that stuck with him most, so much that he had to tell people on the inside about it, was the fucking Butcher Boy grocery store in Maringouin, Louisiana. You love what you love, right? I wonder if he would call the Butcher Boy if he had a cell phone. So it's at this point that I first get my legal paperwork. Like I get my first real, discovery sent to me by my lawyer. So I know like what I'm looking at. And not only do I have the original charges that I had before, but I also have an added charge of failure to appear because I fled my federal trial trying to make it to the Canadas, where a tragic boyfriend, stole a shit ton of money and essentially turned me into the cops. So I read through this paperwork, and lo and behold, if I don't fucking learn through that paperwork, because they didn't redact his name, who the asshole who told on me is. Fuck you, Paul Hance. Cross my path. Anywho, and I'll just pat your head because you're really short. That's all I got for you. You don't get nothing else from me. You can get mentioned in my podcast, though. Maybe it'll make you famous one day. I mean, nobody likes you anyway, so it couldn't hurt. But I mean, hey, you don't like yourself, so start there. Work on it, bro. In the paperwork, it says that this dude essentially didn't tell on me. He told on Tragic Boyfriend. And he didn't even know my fucking name. And so when I was talking to my lawyer about it, my lawyer's like, that is a Brady violation. And he's like, I'm going to try to interview this guy. And if I can get this guy to admit that he didn't know you, that we should be able to make a Brady violation on it. Long story short, I'm not going to, try to string you along here. It didn't work, which I'm sure you know, because, I spent all that time in prison. Had it been a Brady violation, my ass would have gone home. I'd have hit that pipe again and I'd probably be dead. But that's not what happened. What happened is my lawyer did get an interview with Paul Hance, and he did get Paul Hance to admit what we needed Paul Hance to admit, which was the fucking truth. And the court just fuck all of ignored it. Because laws that are based on technicalities, even if they're bulletproof, that Brady is supposed to be. And you know what a Brady violation is whenever the prosecution has information that's exculpatory towards the defense. And that means that the defense can use that as evidence to say this was either an improperly conducted search or it was against the law. It was based on the fruit of the poison tree. It has all these elements to it that make the four corners of a warrant come into play as being not valid. And this was definitely a Brady violation. They had not conducted a controlled buy. They had never once had any evidence other than this dude's word that I was selling drugs. The fact that I was is not grounds for probable cause. It's not. You have to know. You have to be able to have evidence to back up what the fuck you know. Because if it's just what you fucking know, then the law would be based on anecdotes, not data. And let me tell you something, people, that you've probably already figured out. The law is based on anecdotes, not fucking data. It doesn't fucking matter. What you did, what you do, none of that shit matters. The only fucking thing that matters is that impartial asshole in a robe who gets to make a decision, and that impartial asshole sitting behind his desk or her desk claiming that they have the state's best interest at heart in prosecuting you, and those 12 other individuals who are conditioned by the conditions to see you as a threat that needs to be punished, as a criminal, as a future felon, as something dangerous and other. That is our legal system, people. Is it the worst in the world? Fuck no. Is it the best in the world? Fuck no. Does it work on a level? Maybe. Does it work for you because you've never been to prison, you've never been to jail, or you just had to spend a night there for a DUI or some shit? Maybe. Is it something that you'd really rather forget and not ever have to deal with again? Yeah, we both know it is. But mark my words, it can happen to you. And when it happens, when you wake up in that cube at night after they take the old man away and the roaches are crawling on your face and you don't know what fucking coming next, remember that I told you that it was based on anecdotes and not based on data. The law is not impartial because it is not written by people who are impartial. It is not enforced by people who are impartial. It is not interpreted by people who are impartial. And all of these beautifully Byzantine minds that structure our legal system these days and think of themselves, because they wear those god awful robes, that they are somehow intellectually superior to everyone else. So much so that their opinion is not an opinion, even though it's fucking called an opinion. It is law. If that's not the fucking definition of hubris, I don't know what the fuck is. Wouldn't hubris be a great stripper name? Come to the stage. Hubris. She full of herself. That being said, that's going to be it for this episode. So just want to remind you all, if you have a question, ask me in the comments. Otherwise, feed your twinks, people. Because if you don't, they're going to fuck somebody's life up. And nobody wants that. Bye.